What's up, Starcraft fans? Today we're doing the tier list for flipping out on Chain of Ascension. Brian, let's hear the mutation.
Chain of Ascension is the map where we aid Janara as she fights Amon's champion. To support her, each player needs to stand a guy near and push her along the track to the southeast corner. If we push the fight all the way there, we win. But if Amon's forces support their champion and push them all the way to our corner, we lose. Your screen gets tilted and rotated in weird angles and can disorient you as the player. Amon's guys also blink around and make your guys run around in fear.
Okay, so we have Zero and Eveling Culprit today. How are you guys?
Good.
Sleepy.
Same, to be honest. I'm also hungry. Traffic has been insane. Well, to be fair, traffic has always been insane in the Philippines. Anyway, so Zero, how will we rank the commanders this week?
So it's Chain of Ascension, which means the early game will be harder than usual, so that's something to consider. As for the mutators, the main ones are Fear and then Evasive Maneuvers. Vertigo is there, but it's mostly annoying. Even though it's really annoying, it's not something you're going to lose to. So I didn't consider it that much when ranking the commanders.
Okay.
So,
How about you, Eveling?
Yeah, it's somewhat what Zero says. Fear, evasive maneuvers is the major mutations. Vertigo is notoriously known for making people sick, and it depends upon, I guess, just what kind of constitution your eyes and brain have in order to deal with that type of inputs. The best way that I would suggest to deal with this is making use of movements of your army or actions through your minimap, so that the minimap doesn't flip around, but your view of the battlefield does.
Okay, that doesn't really tell us how to rank commanders, but okay, let's do this. Yeah. Abathur, where do we have him?
Abathur, I'm S to A. He can become a commander where essentially you just send a horde of locusts in one direction and kind of win the game. You have to maybe do some early luring with Toxin Nest, which is a little funky with the screen flipping around. But the good thing is the major mutation that you have to contend with here is Fear. And if you are using spore crawlers for your luring capabilities, Fear is not that much of an issue unless they're fearing your drone before it turns into a spore crawler.
Yeah. Okay. How about you?
I have Abathur for SA.
Yeah.
Prestige 2.
How about you, Zero?
I have Abathur in A. I'm not opposed to the idea of S. I just think his early game is slightly weaker than the other guys I have in S. Once you get the Swarm Host ball, he is very good, but the early game, especially the first wave, because air units can come at the first wave on this map, he can't just deal with it with pure Toxic Nests. So I think A is where he should be.
What do you think, Eveling? Will you make a case for S?
It's not unanimous, and I do not disagree with that. It's a very valid point. That second attack wave is scary as heck, and if you can't get enough locusts or any anti-air defense up enough before that second attack wave hits, you're going to be in big trouble.
Okay, so both of you agree with A. Let's put him in A. Prestige-wise, you want the second one here?
Yes.
Okay. Alarak, where do we have him?
Alarak, so his early game, he has a mothership and a hero unit, so that won't really be an issue, even though the hero unit is very vulnerable to getting feared due to his low HP. For the mid game, I think his best bet is to just try to transition to Ascendants. They don't really get hit and not really effective because from the evasive maneuvers, because the Psi Orbs have very large area of effect and the Ascendants themselves stay far away from the enemies. That does require a bit of micro, but it shouldn't be that hard. I haven't been A personally, but I could see a case for B.
Okay. How about you, Eveling?
I have Alarak from A to B. Definitely recommend Prestige number 3. So the thing about Fear, Zero says Zero says that the Alarak's hero unit has a very low HP pool. Yes, Alarak does, but his other heroic unit, which is the Mothership, has an extremely high HP pool. So the Mothership itself is not too prone to fear. Destroyers are much more prone to fear, but the rate at which you can get destroyers, and the other thing to contend with is evasive maneuvers. Because destroyers are hit scan, you stand a better chance of keeping the fire on the things that are jumping around. And Mothership is very A move friendly. So this is one that you're gonna kind of try to A move in order to not combat.
You can get there. Wanna try to Okay, so letter?
I said A to B.
Okay, A to B. Both of you are okay with A. Let's put them in A. I personally would not recommend Ascendance for those who get carsick or those who get disoriented quickly. If you are that person who doesn't have a strong constitution, who doesn't really get carsick, or if you're a person who does get carsick and disoriented and nauseous when playing this, and you have to play it, I would recommend Wrathwalkers because you can actually just rally them onto Alarak. Also make lots of supplicants. And that's something that you can do. I'm not sure if I would recommend it, but you can just not turn your gateways into warp gates, so you don't have to warp in. You just queue them up on your control group and just have them walk onto Alarak, just spam F2, spam all army hotkey, and just look at the minimap. Do not use the actual map. Do not look at the actual map if you're that kind of person who does get sick. But I do agree he's still A. Okay, he has 1 prestige, the Shadow of Death. Let's move on. Arcturus, where do we have him?
I have him from S to A. The good thing about Arcturus, once he gets his expo, you can set up, or you preferably want to set up on the North Expo. Even if your ally is on the top side, you can still set up on the right of his expo. Set up the ESOs there. Have at it. You don't have to really direct the army. Just have your ESOs clear the path, and you can get all the way up to the very kind of the encampment, very last to the pit, and then from there you just start raining down your contaminated strikes and whittle it down, send in the Zerg, and the very last bit, that's where it gets a little funny, but at that point you should have enough tools to get the mission done.
Okay. How about you, Zero?
I agree with A tier. He's a bit more work than the other guys, but in terms of strength, he has the tools he needs to deal with this. The bunkers so aren't affected by fear, so that won't be an issue. And his troopers have hit scan, so evasive maneuvers also won't really be a threat. It's just that you have to move up ESO as you push through the map, which with Vertigo I can imagine being very tedious. But I think he's still at A.
Okay. A okay for you, Eviling?
A is perfect.
Okay, let's put Arcturus in A. Which prestige do you want here?
3, I think.
Third one, the humane one?
Yeah, 1 could also work.
Okay.
I think.
Yeah, I think any of them could work.
If you are the type of person who gets carsick, who does get disoriented, I'm not sure Earth Splitters is... Because the using part of the Earth Splitters is fine. If you want to mass Earth Splitters, it might get like crazy trying to put them all up and ordering your troops around. I can see how that would get nauseating to do. Maybe you can try just a few Earth Splitters, just to use Contaminated Strike, just to target the minimap with their auto attacks, or not, their ranged attacks. And you can just go inhumane the rest of the way. That should still be fine. The enemies aren't that much stronger. And if your guys get feared, it doesn't matter because they'll explode the enemy's face anyway, I think. I think that's how it happens. So yeah, I think, everyone agrees that Arcturus is A. Let's move on. Artanis, where do we have him?
His dragoons, they shoot very slowly and they shoot projectiles, so evasive maneuvers will hinder them a lot. As for fear, he can somewhat negate it with shield overcharge. That makes it so his units can't get overcharged, but of course you don't have that for every fight. but you should have it for all hybrids, so that's something. He's still not very good. I have him in D tier or C, one of them.
Okay. How about you, Eviling?
Yeah, I have Artanis from C to D. His shield make use of his shield overcharge. It prevents the fear aspect, which is the most dangerous mutator of this all. Evasive maneuvers just makes it more annoying because every time they hop, they get a little I guess shielding or take reduced damage. So it just makes it prolongs the fight. Shield overcharge helps prolongs fight or helps prolong that your army can stay in the fight and not get feared. I'd heavily recommend making use of P3 because you have more access to shield overcharge just in a limited area. But as you move your army with your ally, you should be able to catch both of your armies with that shield overcharge. So
Better.
C to D.
C or D. Both of you are okay with actually C or D, so which one is it?
I guess we can put him in C. His army is very immovable, so at least he's easy to play.
Okay,
Exactly.
let's put him in C then. Plus, the shield overcharge also helps your ally survive, so that's nice. Okay, let's put Artanis in C. Hold on. Oh, by the way, what prestige do we have for Artanis? He has only the Arch Common, right? Third one?
Yes.
Okay, how about Dehaka? Where do we have him?
Dehaka I have from A to B is kind of in some sense similar to Abathur, where his early games will be gonna be a little janky, but you make use of P2 where you don't really have to be too concentrated on farming and just focus on getting your pack leaders out. And pack leaders, huge HP pool, fear is not gonna be a problem for them. They ain't scared of anything.
Okay, how about you, Zero?
I have him in S tier. Pack leaders can basically clear either the base or the hybrid area, and you have 3 of them, so that really won't be an issue. Then you just build up creeper hosts, which once you get to a decent amount of them, you don't even have to look at the map. You can just send the creeper host at the enemy through the mini map. He doesn't really care about any of the mutators, so I have him in S tier.
What do you think, Eviling?
I do not disagree with that. It's yeah. But of course it's got to be P2. If you're trying to micro with P1 or P3, it ain't happening.
Okay, so Dehaka goes in S tier. Slight warning about Glevig, you might get disoriented. Yeah, you do have to aim his fire breath. Also, Dehaka might be a little tricky to get essence in the early game because fear. In the early game, his health pool isn't large. You might need to. Yeah, actually, his early game is not that good. The first
Yeah,
wave
hero
might be
unit
on
the
you
worm.
with.
Yeah.
Because if he gets feared, he can get stuck in fear. He can get stun locked.
Yeah.
So is that
don't
still
count
an
on
S?
getting essence for him.
Is that still S though?
I think so.
In,
You have a worm also,
in the
which will take out
in the grand
the
scheme of
carry.
completing the mission, I mean, you should have Glevig by the time of the first attack wave. So,
The first attack
granted,
wave?
once you do, I mean, sorry, not second attack wave. Sorry, second attack wave. The the only problem is when he's using his fire breath, things are gonna be moving out of the way. So you'll be able to do that initial damage, but yeah, he's gonna have to follow it up. It's gonna take a little longer than usual to kill stuff.
I'm actually slightly concerned about the first wave because the Haka might still be weak by then. But if you guys agree with S, so it's not my call, it's yours. Let's put the Haka in S still. Phoenix, where do we have him?
So he doesn't really care about fear. His champions have, I guess, relatively high HP for what they are, so they won't be getting feared very much. And even if they get feared and die, you just send in the
Next.
other one. Yes. Uh, for evasive maneuvers, that can slow him down, I guess, slightly, but he already has insanely high DPS and movement speed from, I believe, Avenging Protocol is what it's called.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Yep.
the reduced time to kill won't be very impactful, especially because the enemies themselves aren't much stronger. His macro, I guess, can be somewhat of an issue, just because you have to move the shells to consistently close to the fight, and controlling them through the mini-map might be an issue. But at least you can send the champions through the mini-map, so that will help you slightly with Vertigo. I personally have him in A tier, although I can see B also.
Okay, how about you, Evoling?
Yeah, I have Phoenix from A to B. Definitely, all the points that Zero said. I would like to add CTG's recommendation. Maybe do not turn your gates into warp gates.
Yeah.
So that way you can just rally them through the mini map and just keep on moving your champions, and less that you have to be looking at the actual battlefield. He's very friendly in that aspect if you have practice with it. The main thing is just make sure you got your macro down for him. You want to get all your champions out just in case you like Caldalis starts getting feared. You have other backups champions getting into the fray.
Okay, so both of you have an A or B. Oh wait, Zero had him in A, so both of you are good with A. Let's put him in A. There we go.
Yep.
Prestige-wise, you want the second one here?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Let's do that. Han and Horner, where do we have them?
Strike fighters are good. They're not subject to the fear. They are subject to evasive maneuvers. Vertical, depending on how you use your strike fighters, can be an issue. But yeah, if you have vision of it, if it's especially the major points of contention are kind of like a lot of the static defense, so you can help neutralize that, because once you send a strike fighter, it's going to go for the static defense is static. It's not going to go anywhere, and then the burning will be able to catch things around it. But most of Han and Horner's or Han's units are very low HP pools, so it's questionable if you want to be sending all those into. You can play the game of, I just send a mass of Reapers and they can't fear them all. Fear can get to quite a bit of them. So I have them C to D. I would suggest, this is one of the rare occasions, I would actually suggest P3, where you just secure your expo, build up your strike fighters, and just start clearing the way to the pit with strike fighters. Or P2, you can have a much higher HP pool Horner units by just making with your mineral float, make a bunch of Han units. I would suggest Widow Mines, because that'll boost their HP pools with a significant others bonus.
Okay, how about you, Zero?
Yeah, I don't think they're very good here. I think your best bet might just be to take it slow.
Take it slow.
So we have at least one top bar for each of the hybrid. And for pushing the big bases, I haven't tried P3, but now that I think of it, it could probably be good. Yeah. The army itself won't be doing very much other than just picking off strugglers, so that's the main issue they have. I think D is where I'd put them.
Are you okay with D, Evoling?
Yeah, I said C to D.
Okay, let's put Han and Horner in D. Karax, where do we have him?
So his static defense won't be affected by fear, so that's something. For evasive maneuvers, the cannons will be affected, but monoliths should be fine, I believe, because I think their hits can. So the early game also isn't very much of a threat, because his top bar, will be affected by evasive maneuvers, which will be pretty big threat. So we can't just spam it to deal with the waves mindlessly. You actually have to either. I think you just need to use solid lands. I don't think you're going to be orbitaling the waves, just like keep teleporting. Still, the cannons are very good. You can either like push with them or just pre-clear an area and then camp it. You don't have to be fast on this mission, so there's no real big threat. As for the hybrid, I think that's where you use your orbital energy to just burst down the hybrid if you haven't pre-cleared that area yet to spawn camp.
No, I don't recommend.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
think I have it
recommend
in BT.
spamming. I don't recommend spamming orbital strike on the hybrid. It's just a huge waste of energy. I'd rather
Where else are you going to use it?
static defense. That's where I always use the orbital strike. Static defense.
I guess.
It takes extra. It
I
takes
don't
extra
know.
damage. Hybrids don't. And but they have thousands of health. Why waste orbitals? Or wait,
No,
orbital strikes?
hybrids do take extra damage.
They still have thousands of health. It's not worth it. If it's a single
I mean,
fat hybrid there, I'd rather like put down 2 cannons, 150 minerals versus like 150 energy. No question.
The hybrid are what's gonna make you lose. They're your lose condition here. You can take as much time as you need in clearing. Still, I have it in B tier.
I guess we don't agree, but I'm not arguing that here. I'm just saying that hybrids. No. Using orbital strike, absolute waste of energy. But anyway, that can be another discussion. How about you, Eviling?
I have Karax in B2C. I would actually recommend P2. That's the most A move friendly composition that you can make. And as Zero said, you're not pressed for. There's no major time pressure. You don't have things like Void Rifts or other time constrained mutators breathing down your back. In terms of orbitaling hybrids, yeah, definitely. It's definitely not a good use of the energy, but if you are about to lose with Janara getting booped into the pit, that's their last Hail Mary. Take it. But
Yeah, I'm not saying
if you can
never
afford
use it, but it's just not very efficient. If it's for survival, sure, by all means, you need to survive. But under normal circumstances, if like Janar's in the middle of the map, nowhere near the pit, no, don't. It's a waste of energy. Anyway, both of you are okay with C. Oh wait, B. Yeah, both of you are okay with B. So let's put them in B. Prestige wise, second or third one will work, right? Second or third?
I'd say second one. Third one, it's you're taking a crapshoot with trying to hit all your abilities.
I think with even with the third one, you still want a cannon push this map. Like bring up like 5 probes so you can guarantee that they would get the buildings up. I think that's how you do it.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's move on.
Prevent Janara from being pushed.
Let's move on. Kerrigan, where do we have him?
Kerrigan, I have her from C to D. Fear is Kerrigan, her major early to mid power is from Kerrigan herself, and she is very susceptible to fear. If you're gonna insist on Kerrigan, I would suggest going P2, P3. You need Omega Worms to help divert attention. But yeah, it's gonna be a little rough for her to not be a scaredy cat, and you gotta micro her. That could be very disorienting with Vertigo. So yeah.
How about you, Zero?
I agree with that. The fear can definitely mess her up. If she dies at a bad time, you can easily lose. She isn't very composition resistant either, which plays a big part on this map. So I think C to D makes perfect sense here.
Which one, C or D?
Well, it's hard to say. I think she's C against ground and D against air. So
Okay, who is
I
she
think-
closer to? Artanis or Hot and Horner?
I say Han and Horner.
Han and Horner probably.
All right, let's put Kerrigan in D. Kerrigan gets the D. Nova, where do we have him?
Nova, she is just a better Kerrigan. Her hero unit will not be getting feared, assuming you're using P3. Her army, this is like one of the main times I wouldn't recommend Mass Liberator, just because Vertigo, the defensive drone, can actually prevent fear. So that's a positive. For your main army, I'd say just have like a death ball of like Bio and then some mech with Ravens. You can even add Liberators for hybrid, I guess. But yeah, the hero unit herself just clears the map, while the your army gets rid of the hybrid with the help of top bar. Their strike can clear out all the enemies around hybrid, so then you just bully the hybrid. So I have it in A tier.
Well, I was slightly worried when you said better Kerrigan, like a little bit better. Turns
No,
out
she's way better.
Way-
Okay, how about you, Eviling?
Yeah, I have Nova from A to B, recommending P3 as essentially saying she is a way better Kerrigan, just because she takes
Because she's
it's what
blonde?
we
Is
mentioned
that it?
earlier.
Is that why?
No, no.
Purple hair is better.
What is Kerrigan a redhead or a
No, she's
brunette?
purple. She's purple hair.
Purple or green,
Zerg
something,
hair.
whatever. Delicious. But what we were saying about Artanis, that he can use shield overcharge to negate the fear aspect. Nova can do the same thing, and it comes up much more readily with defensive drones. So yeah, it makes her army a little more A move friendly, because you can keep on dropping defensive drones. I mean, you could potentially run into the situation of running out of charges of it, but that's kind of rare. Or just don't be too liberal with it. But yeah, A to B.
Okay, so both of you are okay with A. Let's put him in A. Prestige-wise, you want the third one, right?
Yeah.
Let's move on. Raynor, where do we have him?
Raynor. Okay, so a lot of he's notoriously known for a lot of low HP units, except for one, is battle cruisers. So definitely recommend P3. Again, you're not under time constraints, so you have the time to amass your fleet of battle cruisers, which we all know you Raynor players like to do. So yeah, just go mass battle cruisers P3. Pump them out so you can get the cooldown down on your cooldowns, and just clear the map as best as you can. A moving it, and yeah, B to C.
I would like to rebut on the all Raynor players because Lila exists, but I guess.
Most okay, most.
Okay.
Most.
The last thing I want is Lila storming, holding a protest outside my home because he just said that he makes battle cruisers. But anyway, how about you, Zero?
I also have him mode B2C. Once he gets Battlecruiser out, I can just spam top bar everywhere. He's pretty solid, actually. It's just getting to that point.
Isn't it very
Which-
fitting that Raynor, who suggested to make battle cruisers, is from B to C?
Yep.
It's very fitting.
For surviving, I think for first wave, if you don't have an ally who you trust to kill air units, I'd recommend building like a bunker just in case the first wave sends like a Mutalisk, because your Banshees won't be able to hit that. But otherwise,
What if
there
it's Reapers?
shouldn't
I
shouldn't
guess-
be that much
I guess
preventing you
Banshees.
from surviving until battle cruisers, because this map doesn't. Yeah, I guess it doesn't. Yeah, you're not under time constraint. That's the main thing.
Save the
You
Hyperion
get
for
to
wave
survive.
2. There it is.
Yes, definitely.
That's
Yeah, I
the only
think
thing. Yeah.
B or C.
Okay, so is it B or C? Which one do we prefer?
Let's give him the B.
All right,
Yeah, I'm
B for
fine with
battle
B.
cruiser.
Raynor gets a B. Stetboy, where do we have him?
That then. So he has a hero unit that has way too much health for whatever reason, so he's not getting feared. He has this funny ability that just deletes a wave. So he can also overcharge his Sterilites. That gives his units a little barrier that prevents fear. But even if they get feared, they're healing 16 health a second, so it's not like they care. Yeah, I have him in S tier. I don't think he really cares about anything here.
Okay, how about you, Eviling?
Yeah, I have Stetmann from S to A. Pretty much a lot of P2s, just P2 itself counters a lot of the major one is fear. Evasive maneuvers is going to be annoying. It just takes longer to kill stuff. But I mean, this as long as you're casting Super Garrus Egorbs in the general direction, in a stet field, that's the major thing. Don't cast Egorbs outside of the stet field, because one, you're outside of the stet field, so Super Garrus is going to be super slow, and you're won't be just shooting one E-Gorb. You need to have that fan out as the evasive maneuvers start doing its thing, and hopefully it goes in a way it just puts itself in line as the E-Gorbs progress through. So, SA.
Yeah, I soloed this one as Stet Boy. It was pretty easy, but I would say that it can get a little disorienting to tell whether Gary is in the Stet zone or not, aside from when you're watching if he's moving. But when you're focused on targeting the enemies, you can kind of not notice that Gary is outside the Stet zone, so that's the only thing. Also, putting the Stet lights is very disorienting. It is extremely disorienting. It's like creep spread, but worse. And, you know, it's airborne, so that's the thing. But I still think he's S. Both of you agree with S, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Also, to add to that, for later game, you can just get infestors, and then you don't even have to look at the game. You
That
can
is
just
what I did.
spam them through the game map.
That is 100% what I did. I did infestors and had spore crawlers and zerglings just guarding the infestors in case stuff arrives. Anyway, let's move on. Stukov, where do we have him?
Speaking of mass infestors, infested, Stukov, E3 players rejoice. This is gonna be your mutation. It's just build bunkers. That's the most disorienting thing is where do I place my next bunker, and then set psi emitter.
The answer is on the ground.
Objective.
It doesn't matter because they just send the infested infinitely. As long as it's green, as long as the wireframe is green, it's a good spot for a bunker. S to A. How about you, Zero?
I also have him in S tier. Like Evelyn said, you just make bunkers and then you use the site disruptor on where the enemies are and you win.
Okay.
So S tier.
S tier. Use Lord of the Horde. You're gonna be fine. Swann, where do we have him?
1. So usually P1 would be very good against Vertigo. Not in this case because evasive maneuvers. So he'll actually have to look at the screen for once. As for dealing with that, I don't think he does very well. His units are either fairly close range or use projectiles like Wraiths, so one of the two mutators that actually affect gameplay will mess him up. His best bet is probably tanks to push, and then once the areas for the hybrid are clear, just set them up with turrets. Still, it isn't that good, and it requires a bit of work, so I have him in C tier.
How about you, Evoling?
Yeah, I don't know about C tier. I have Swann from A to B because P1 I agree that's not gonna be your best bet. I would actually say you want concentrated beam because as long as you send it down the middle, yeah, you get most of the map done, and then from there you kind of just figure out a way to get through the rest. The good thing is Swann is similar in the similar camp like Artanis, Nova, Stetmann. He has a way to negate the fear. Defensive matrix. That
too. I was thinking Mastor, but defensive matrix is also good. I actually think Mastor is a decent solution here, or even Mass Goliath, because they're hit scan and they're very A move friendly, and they don't. They don't require a lot of micro, so you can just send them forward. And the good thing about the Thors is they're very tanky, so they're sort of resistant, not immune, resistant to fear. And the Goliaths, well, they're cheap, so you can kind of just mass them up and just send them an Amon. You'll eventually overwhelm them.
Yep.
But Zero, will you make a case for a C, or are you okay to move up to B?
I'd with B tier. I wasn't strong on that C.
Okay. Buon it is. Buon. Return of the Buon. There we go. Tychus, where do we have him?
Tychus, definitely recommending P2 for his damage reduction on his outlaws. They are kind of a movie-ish. It's just a little disorienting to micro them or direct them where to go and micro their abilities. But Yeah, he should be able to get it done. Just try not to feel that feelings of nausea when you're doing it. I have him from B to C. He is susceptible to fear. I mean, he's not immune to it, so he still can't. His outlaws still can be subject to it. So just mind that. Get your medevacs out so that if they get into a never-ending fear chain, you can pull them out and then reset and then try again.
Do the medevacs pull units that are running around in fear?
Yes.
They do? Oh, that's interesting. How about you, Zero?
Yes.
Oh, wait, letter.
I have him.
I said B to C.
B to C. How about you, Zero?
I have him B or A. He is very vulnerable to fear, and some outlaws will get affected by evasive maneuvers. But even then, your main outlaws, which are like Tychus and Sirius, they're not really affected by evasive maneuvers, and Sirius isn't even affected by fear because he shouldn't be getting hit, just his turrets. And even if an outlaw dies, that's just 250 minerals, which I mean, who cares about 250 minerals? So you can just revive him.
I think it's more the lost offense time than the minerals themselves, but I see
Still,
your point.
you can take this slow, so it's not really an issue.
Okay, so you have A to B, Evil has B to C. So are you both okay with B?
Yeah,
Which
Yep.
prestige you recommend?
2.
Second
Two.
one? I'm actually thinking maybe you can go for no prestige here and maybe use one of Cannonball or Blaze. Like once Blaze gets that quasi hardened shield upgrade, he can just like he can run around in fear the whole time. He can not do anything on offense, just run in fear and just absorb all the hits, and the rest of all else will be fine. So I think that's one viable solution you can have to fear is Blaze. So there you go.
E2 Cannonball is also fills that role pretty well too.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on. Vorazun, where do we have him?
Vorazun, so yeah, her army isn't AMU friendly at all. Basically, all her units that you use are spellcasters, so that won't be very nice. They're also like mid tier HP, so they'll be getting feared a decent amount if they get hit. And this is assuming you're not just abusing Terran bio, so there will be a lot of detection. The pushing into bases will at least be relatively easy with time slop. You just need to make sure to kill the Vipers if it's Zerg. Basically just the AoE and detection during the time slop. Otherwise, if time stop runs out and you're in the middle of the base, you will get hit a lot. For evasive maneuvers, the DTs don't really care, but the Corsairs will be affected a lot, which means Vorazun, who already struggles to air, will be even worse. So I have her in either C or D.
How about you, Eviling?
Yeah, I don't think Vorazun is that bad. I agree with Zero's statement that a lot of her units are mid HP, so they're very susceptible to fear. But I mean, this map or this mutation is not really pushing for a time pressure, so you can kind of wait for your time stops to deal with the hybrid waves. Once using P3, that's going to delete the hybrids pretty well. The only thing that you have to worry about is if you got a bunch of air hybrids, and at that point, just don't try to be a little conservative with your Spirit of Adun energy. If you need those black holes, put a few points into black hole duration, because you might need it depending upon the comp that comes up. I have her from B to C.
Both of you technically agree with C. What do you guys feel about? How do you guys feel about Mass Void Ray on this mutation?
So they'll be getting hit way too much and then just
Yeah.
feared.
Yeah, that's a waste. That's inefficient use of resources. And again, the more you're delaying this map, the more you have to put up with this. The higher the chance of your car sickness.
What I like about Void Rays is that they're they're a lot easier to control than and warp in. They're a lot easier to warp in than Dark Templar. So I feel like if you're able to get a good mass of them, and the enemy isn't a hard countering air, or you don't get Vipers and such, you might be in a solid position. Plus, I think one of the nicer things about Vorazun is whenever you use Time Stop, you essentially get a free map clear, or I guess base clear, and you can just skip the last objective with Time Stop. And even if your ally has no idea that that is a thing, you can before you hit Time Stop and before the hybrid spawns, you can drop a Dark Pylon near the pit. Use recall on if your ally doesn't really grab his units a lot, you can grab some of his army. But if he does grab his units a lot, you can go for a couple workers, couple overlords, just recall some guys and then hit Time Stop. You don't need to tell your ally what's going on. Just recall a few of his workers, overlords, and then just win the game. Whatever ally thinks he's doing, it'll work.
Just do your best not to whiff that recall though, because of Vertigo.
Oh yeah, that's the thing. You have to make sure that's your clutch play. That's your game winner. That's basically your game winner. If you whiff, then your ally will be mad because you just ruined his economy, sort of. Anyway, so are you guys both okay with C? Or move up to B?
I'm fine with C.
I'm okay with C.
Okay. Vorazun ends up in C. I personally have her in B, but okay, if you say so. Zagara, where do I have him?
Zagara, she's the most A move friendly commander, period. So I would actually recommend going with P2 just so that you have that higher HP pools for your A move army.
Zagara's abs.
Yeah. Abs of steel. So I have her from A to B.
How about you, Zero?
I have her in B. You can either go the tanky aberrations that don't get feared very much and are very cheap, or just bio launcher, the hybrid. Yeah, as we said numerous times, you have a lot of time on this map, so you don't have to rush anything. So I think B makes sense. I could also see the case for A.
Okay. Both of you are okay with B. Let's put him in. I personally had her in S actually, because like you said, maybe I'm crazy here because honestly, the only thing I consider here, I don't even think about fear or evasive maneuvers. The only thing I consider is Vertigo. Like if you're gonna Vertigo, you're getting an S from me. But you know, I'm not the one who's actually ready. Both of you are okay with B. Let's put in B. But for those of you who,
if you have her in S, let's move her up to A. Both of us are okay with A.
both of you are okay with A.
We are.
Yeah.
I don't want to change the decision. I'm just here to moderate things and provide opinions. I don't want to change your answers. Essentially, are you both?
You're not changing our answers. Our answers are set. You're just tie breaking.
Tie breaking? Okay, fine. Let's put her in A. Zeratul, where do we have him?
Zeratul, so I assume you just want to go cadence here. They're not affected by fear at all, and evasive maneuvers, even if they miss a shot, that shouldn't really be an issue, just because you're not losing value with them, like you would with, like, say, Artanis. The hero unit is also really good. It helps you through the early game. Yeah, I have him in A tier. He also has really
tier.
good cooldowns.
How about you, Eviling?
I'm pretty sure I say it enough on these tier lists that it's almost a meme. Zeratul, Cannon's good. S to A.
Everyone
B2.
says it. Cannon's good. S to A. Okay, both of you are okay with A. Let's put him in A. There we go. Guys, I finally found out what CTG stands for. It stands for cannons. They are good. Do we have a do we have a double S?
I like it. Okay.
No, I don't think so.
Who's top of A?
Wait, top of A?
Oh, sorry, top of S. I apologize.
Okay.
Stetmann? Maybe Stukov?
Dehaka bottom of S.
Yes,
So Stukov or Stetboy?
Stetmann, I think.
I would say Stukov more likely. Yeah, it's completely brain. The Stetmann, you still have to kind of
Yeah, the
figure out your step.
the Stetlight
Yeah, I agree.
the Stetlight pudding is annoying Stukov. Anywhere that's green is a good spot for bunkers. So, yeah. Unless you're like in the enemy base or something. That is a bit of qualification. Anywhere that's green and not in front of the enemy is a good spot for bunkers. There we go. So it's Stetboy, Dehaka, or Stetboy, Stukov, Dehaka. Who's top of A?
With Nova, maybe Zagara or Zeratul. Say one of those three.
Wait, a couple
Which
minutes ago, you had Zagara in B. Now she's top of A. What?
I didn't fully realize the potential of P2. But yeah, those things have insane health.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. So who's top of
Check.
A? Who's top of A?
I'm still leaning into Nova, I think.
How about Phoenix?
Phoenix.
You just rally your guys. Cross. It's almost, you don't have to look. Once you have your building set up, you just rally them to where your farm is. And then F2 them at Janara or something if you want. And just use your control group. You don't have to look at the actual map, I don't think.
Yeah, Phoenix is up there, but not better than Zagara. Zagara is like Phoenix.
yeah.
You gotta macro it out. Zagara, it's a lot less macro intensive.
Oh yeah.
A lot less.
I was right, guys. I was totally right. Cigar total doesn't deserve to be an S tier. Okay, who's top of A? if no one says anything, I'm gonna put Zagara and no one can do anything about it.
I'm not opposed to it, honestly.
Yeah, top of A. I mean, again, she's known for being most A move friendly commander.
You're welcome, Zagara fans. Who's second in A?
Second in A,
Zeratul?
Nova.
Oh yeah, Nova too.
Zeratul or Nova?
I'm fine with both of them.
That's
I
not
think
hard.
they're very close.
Yeah, agreed.
So let's call it a tie. Nova and Zeratul, second in A. Second and third in A. Like tie. Tied for second. Who's fourth in A?
Phoenix.
Phoenix. Then Alarak?
Abathur?
I think
guess.
Abathur?
Yeah, I would say Abathur.
Okay.
Abathur before.
Alarak? Then Arcturus?
I think this looks right.
Okay. Top of B?
Yeah.
Tychus?
That makes sense. Then
Mhm.
Raynor? Or
Raynor.
Karax?
I think
Yeah,
Raynor's
Raynor
actually
with P3.
really okay. Let's put him there, and then
Because even if you're looking at Karax or Swann, I mean Karax, you still have to put stuff out into the field
Oh, yeah.
in order to kind of, and that's disorienting. You said like send 5 probes out in the middle. That's already a little excessive. So that's
plus all of Karax's
Raynor.
top bars require you to target him on the map, except Chrono. But Swann,
Yep.
you can use the minimap for concentrated beam. In fact, I do recommend the minimap for concentrated beam. So let's put
Mhm.
Karax, then Swann. Who's top of C?
Vorazun?
Vorazun, then Artanis. Top of D,
Hanan Horner?
Haran Horner,
I think.
then Kerrigan bottom.
absolutely.
All right, do we have a combination of commanders from B to D who together are better than Dehaka on his own?
I don't know.
Raynor and Karax would be good because Karax,
Oh,
repair
yeah.
beam.
Because like the wiki said, they have okay synergy.
Yeah. Blasphemy. Blasphemy.
Yeah, unit barriers great for bio. Chrono also great, also for upgrades. How about Swann and someone who's great against pushing Kerrigan?
Raynor plus like
Raynor?
an early game commander could be good.
Yeah, I guess.
So-
All right.
Yeah, so I guess like Raynor Kerrigan.
How
Kerrigan
about
gets you through the early game.
How about Swann and Vorazun?
Vorazun. I mean,
There's more
I don't know.
beef. Plus Swans. If you go for rates, they'll get the revive.
Like, you're not going race here. I don't think.
That's true. That's true. That's very true. Okay, so I guess that's it. Guys, thank you for watching. If you have an idea for what else to do, please leave it in a comment. I'll see you guys next time.